comment. Okay. First of all, thank you. Thank you. That was a wonderful talk. And I think I can safely speak for everybody if I respectfully ask for you to share a bit of your poem. I think all of us are okay staying for a little bit more. We'd love to hear some if you have, if you're able to do so.
I do.
Okay, perfect.
At the end. I'll do it at the end then.
Okay.
I don't think I need a mic.
You have it. So.
مرحب مرحب.
مرحبا يا حبيبي.
صديق ولدنا من هذه المدينة أقصد تورنتو. فمرحب. What I want to say, I thought we had a rap song. I don't know what you think. حبة عدس ما بسوي شيء وهنا دقيق وهنا الفهم. مشكلة بتاعتي.
Yeah, احتجالات. Yeah.
Absolutely yes.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about the question. I think the good why the rap culture, rap music not come to Sudan. I think there is, but I don't know. Probably you better as a researcher for knowing about that. But my experience, I welcome everything here. I welcome it. I have been through it with Mazi and Nakta. And they are very strong. They take their things, but it's not only my side. Like when I tell them, okay, I like that. You know what happened next day? They make me a tape of that song. I mean, not the song, like the singer.
Got it.
So my experience, I'm okay. Like I'm cool with them. I dance with them. So it has an ideology. There are challenges.
Right.
There are ideological barriers, background that, okay, I don't like that. When it started earlier, like I don't the word like that, come on, don't use that. But at the time when they were young, but later I have to be friends with them. So there are words I think, oh my God, don't use that word. But you know what?
Yeah.
So this is a different culture. It's coming out of the solution, as one of the guys said, oppression or whatever. So it's part of life. So yes, we better. Yes, be cool. Thank you. That one. Be cool. Be cool. So what you said is good. There is something I don't know. What is the next step? So, like I don't want to go into melting pot. Like okay, I'm an immigrant. I want to put my influence on this culture too. So it's not like okay, I want to put my influence too. Yeah. So my kids, my Napta and Mazin. They used to hear it because I love songs. That's part of me. Okay, I'm dancing. This is my reason. I can't leave it. Whatever some people say, whatever. Okay? So they hear songs. So they hear Muhammad al-Amin. There are since they know names of Sudanese. I did not put pressure on them. When they were kids, they kept hearing this in the car. At home all night, I play them, especially the weekend. They hear Sudanese songs. They captured it. They got it. So I think, I'm not sure though, you tell me, or anybody else, they take that and do it in their own day-to-day work. Mazin in his art, because he's an actor, he did it, I see it, okay, I saw. I don't know how explicit, or it's not explicit for sure, right? So I saw it in his work. So now this is my last point, which is I'm not into melting pot. I want to put my imprints. Right. They are very smart, as you said you said earlier at the beginning. The guy who told you they don't know what I am or they cannot monitor me.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We cannot monitor them. There is no way we can go ahead this is like torture if we just keep following them, my daughter. What are you going? What are you doing? What is this? What type of songs? No, that's you bring them up the right way, and then trust. Okay, and confidence. Trust them. So back to my multiculturalism, how do we put our imprints in this culture? I don't want here just for them to give the second Ethiopian girl. Yes, I call my daughter Napta because that, and I'm telling her why I call her Napta.
Right.
This is culture from where I'm coming.
Right.
I'm proud. Yeah, there are lots of stuff that I don't like in my culture too.
Right.
So I want to bring this. Hey, Canada, listen to me. I'm an Indian. I am equally as productive. I'm smart. So it's multiculturalism versus melting pot.
Right.
So you did not talk. I don't know, but so I want to hear that a little bit more.
Definitely,
Thank you.
you're touching on something extremely significant, and that is, and I hope I did not come across as if I'm calling go hip hop all the way. Actually, I'm calling to the opposite. How can we make use of hip hop? That's what I'm calling for. How do we make use of it? Like the Ethiopian girl, like the Chinese guy, and so on and so forth. The idea is not be bugged by simply quote unquote vulgar language and not hear the content of what people are talking about. And that can only happen, and I really love your two words. One is trust. Terbiya. Terbiya, for me, is when you instill in someone something very precious, and right after give them trust to go. Knowing they can do something with it. It's not by monitoring them whether they are doing it or not. It's how are they making use of it? How are they making use of it? That's the only thing that you can ask of them. In their context, within their population, within the people, within their crowd, what use are they making of it? So the idea of trust is really significant. The second thing, which is probably one of the most significant thing about music overall, in particular hip hop, but music, and I think you alluded to the fact that you were crazy about music. There is in seduction, that's the word I used. Seduction always takes place subconsciously. In other words, you can't seduce someone consciously. You have to work on them. In other words, you have to come over and again so that they can not simply seduce in the seduction sense, but seduce as in it leaves imprints. It leaves something in their thinking. It leaves something in their lives. It leaves something when they behave, when they talk, when they walk, it comes through. And that can only happen subconsciously. That's why I actually highly recommend you play music over and over again in your house. Play it as much as you can. Play I can't believe I'm going to say this, but play some of the Sudanese TV. Have a conversation around that. That's how conversations come through. It's in the chit chat. It's in the chit chat does things stick, or do things stick. And I think I would leave it at that. I think you what you alluded to is exactly what I'm calling for. It's exactly what I'm calling for. Please. Yeah. I want to hear what's up, guys? Young people. I know, man. I gotta tease you to talk or what? Huh? Or the parents are here. It's okay.
Thank you, Professor. This is way more enjoyable than what we expected.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. My question could be a little weird, but we're a family here, so.
We're among family, so.
Yeah, sure. I'm mid-generation, mid-30, and I grew up myself listening to hip hop. Actually, I grew up a little bit in Sudan, but then moved to Saudi Arabia, spent most of my life there before moving to Canada 2 years ago.
Right.
And in Saudi Arabia, I got introduced to hip hop, and we made a band, and I was into the whole scene.
Yeah.
A few albums, simple stuff.
There you go. Simple stuff.
Simple stuff.
That's what you're telling us, right? Yeah. We got to take your word for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right now, I have 2 kids, and the whole insight is changing. One of them is 4, the other one is 6. The little one is getting very interested in hip hop through school, and she's very little, but I can see that she's loving the culture and everything. It causes a little dilemma for me, being someone who loves the culture, someone who was into the culture, and I'm growing up, so I'm more into jazz and blues, and I'm trying to eliminate my hip hop passion. I don't want to get them. Everybody loves hip hop. Can't deny the fact that it gets explicit sometimes, and you want to protect your kids as well. Right. And in a position like this, what are you going to do there? The passion is there, the love is there. You try and protect them. What do you do?
Yeah. I think you're going about it, at least for me, from an education perspective and from a pedagogical perspective, and as a teacher, you're going about it the right way. That is, you cannot protect your kids from what you cannot control. And you cannot control hip hop, you cannot control media. So all you can control is actually working with them. And that's just the sheer realization of your input and your impact. And kids are really smart, very observant. They do by observing. And this is why I keep telling, it wasn't even my word. Socrates said the kids are the best philosophers. They are the best philosophers precisely because of the what he calls the faculty of wonder. They're curious. They want to know. So all you can do within that context is you cannot control what you cannot control, and that is media. But what you can control is how you interact with them, and to the extent to which they can comprehend coming to a term or coming to terms with the pop culture and music overall. That is, with young people, you have to work with them slowly because they haven't developed the story yet. So all you can do is to tell a story and a counter story. Story and a counter story. So when this is what I do with the kids in my class, is we take, some of it is actually explicit. Some of the music that we listen to in class is explicit. But we take it to deconstruct it. I'm able to do that because I'm dealing with relatively older generation. They can comprehend, they have the story, they have the language, we can have a discussion around it. With kids, you can't. So all you can do is to start to tease out, to make them comprehend, to contextualize. It's an ongoing work. It's never ending. And that's the extent of what you can do. There is no, I hate to bring it to you. I'm being a teacher for a long time. I hate to bring it to you. There are no prescriptions. There are no prescriptions.
I actually have a question myself too, and then I'll give it to Statistic there. I took a road trip with my son. He's 21 years old, and I was forced actually on that to listen to his music. So I didn't have a choice. I actually, after that, made him listen. I said, okay, we'll give half an hour for myself to understand, listen to a copy or whatever. But I actually listened to music, and the lyrics were so powerful in some of the songs. They have a lot of balagha for them. They'll say something and they mean something. And most of it I actually didn't understand until he stops and explains to me what they mean, right? But my problem is with most of these lyrics and these songs, I find that they're talking a lot about hatred, their problems with the police, killing each other, revenge, slavery and all that stuff, and I'm trying to explain, okay, that's not us, but I hear you before saying, you know what, we're Sudanese, we're black here, we have to accept that. But again, I want to make him understand that's not my history. I was not born a slave. Black history is not my history. But all these lyrics, they talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, how can I get him understand, you know what? All these songs are not talking about you. They're talking about certain people, but he still thinks that's,
I hate to tell you this.
yeah.
I really hate to tell you this. They're talking about him. They're not talking about you. And that's the difference. They were not talking about you. They were talking about him.
But he was not in that history
But-
before. He was not part of that history.
Are we sure that he was not part of that history?
Like, I understand.
No.
Yeah.
But this is ultimately the conclusion of my book, anyway.
Okay.
It's precisely when I went onto the street, and this happened when I was probably 20-something. I had dreadlocks, I was walking, and at that moment, I was another N-word in the canton. So, and that is what we need to realize, is how do we shift the discussion from us as parents to discussion about them and bring it back. So it's an ongoing conversation. Yes, you're absolutely right. You were not part, or you are not part, you were not, or you are not part of that history. But the bigger question before us is, when we walk down the street, what history is it imposed on us? On our bodies. Our bodies speak a language that we don't even have control over.
But does
When
listening
Waleed walks down, like he's already read. He's already read. People know him. People actually know him just by virtue of looking at him. And that is what I'm trying to make us think about. What is this imaginary? What is this imposed discourses? What is this imposed image on us, on our bodies? And it turned our bodies in tableau and some kind of painting that is already painted. We have colors, we have everything set to go. Hala, my wife, she went through the shift of the scarf, hijab, and I have witnessed the difference even in people's reaction. We will be walking, people never noticed her before. But people, hijabis in particular, they will be like nodding, like giving her the nod, and sister, much love, sister, that kind of thing. And at the same time, and then at the same time, you get blatant Islamophobia, blatant racism, and so that's the kind of discourse that I'm trying to think about. I think you're right in saying that in saying that your son or yourself have a different memory, or you have a different memory. All you can do is not judge his, but share with him your memory. That's the extent of what you can do. Let him deal with that memory, just like the Ethiopian girl. Just like the Ethiopian girl. That's the extent of what you can do as a parent, is share with them your background, your history, your framework, your narrative, and let them deal with that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the nice talk. The first time I came aware about hip hop in Sudan 4 years ago during the elections. The BBC sent a big team to cover the elections, and part of that they
That's
had
true, that's true.
coverage.
Yeah,
And they
yeah.
brought two guys, a girl and a boy,
Yeah.
and they had performed some hip hop stuff. I go here to Sudan, but I haven't seen any since then. My question is, it is really spread out in Sudan or not? If it is not, why? Given, okay, part of the talk, the suffering was talk,
Right.
it's related to identity and oppression, all that stuff. So why is it really,
There's not a huge kind of production of hip hop in terms of MCing. In other words, there's some, but not a lot. There's some MCing production. So you will have rappers rapping over certain music. But there is almost an explosion of spoken word. Khartoum, they got tons of places that you can go to where they have actually spoken word competition.
sorry,
What Khartoum? Yeah, I know that. I noticed that. So the planting of the seed that I'm throwing to the audience is maybe there's some element of hip hop that is happening that we're not naming it yet, that we don't have a language for it yet. The musicians, they might know that, but for us as like a dobit, I think it's a form of incredible spoken word performances that are just, they dealt with in its own term, but not in relation to, for example, hip hop or spoken word as we know it, as we understand it here. So I may need to inform myself more about the scene in Sudan and where it's happening. Maybe you can.
There is a really good community. There is, even in North America, there is quite a good number. I mean, especially spoken word, like our little sister. Our little daughter, actually, also one of them. She's very well known. She's very well known in the Toronto spoken word community. And also there is a really strong dope and rapper.
Right.
Yeah, Mo.
We
have a lot of followers. There is a good quite a number. If I'm not mistaken, there is quite. I'm doing a lot of production with different people in Toronto.
Right.
But in the States, like I just come from Virginia 2 weeks ago, and I met like 4 guys that are really strong, and then I hear like they're very well known in DC area and part of. I think there is a movement there, especially the one who grew up and they're extremely conscious about the culture, the country, and the identity as well. But I'm gonna go back now to talking about the music. I mean, if we go back about identity and the culture, like if you remember, I think I said this before, like in Sudan, like in Zat Duman, mostly what you hear in Kabli or Wardi or Osman Hussein, you don't hear most of the music from other side of Sudan, as we call it Al-Hamish. And coming here as well, like I think we have also strong movement to be part of the culture musically. I start saying the music of Toronto, and it's become actually a saying and a scene in Toronto, become very well known. We mix things between African, sometimes Indian, Latin American, and also we don't forget the original Aboriginal, the First Nation people, and we call it the music of Toronto. I start calling it like that. Actually, being interviewed on CBC, and there is a scene of I would love for you guys. There's a lot of beautiful festival around Toronto and Mississauga at Harbourfront. There is a very strong element from different parts of the world, and I think Sudan have a big part of it, as I said, and also Dr. Awad was saying we can use the element of hip hop and how we can the aspect of the hip hop and the identity, and how we can mix that also with with the identity of where we come from as a Sudanese, and I'm related to him when he was telling about his story about he was riding his bike, maybe we are more than you, because me and Awad, we used to be almost like, half of the day we are outside, from 1991. We come to this country, we were very young, actually, early 20s, probably I was 21, and you get harassed by the police, you get stopped, we both have dreadlocks, we ride bikes, and sometimes even I talk to after I become teaching in high school, sometimes, like I used to teach at Lawrence High in high school by Lawrence, you walk with your student on the street, sometimes the police harass you, they will think you're a student as well. That we are part of it, somehow that element, that corrupted, poison idea of how we are, we are part of it as a black people, and I'm really enjoying this. I'm so glad coming here. Thank you so much, Dr. Awad, for coming here. It's a beautiful subject to talk about. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah. I think just going back to your question, I think your question is about the production of hip hop in Sudan. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doc. I think this is one of the unique forums or presentation that Sudanese can have in diasporas, wherever they are. And I think we're going to share this video with so many people all over. My issue is hip-hop is this, I grew up with music, I love music. In Sudan we started with Bob Marley. In Sudan we listened to Sharhabil, Jailani al-Wasif, lots of people even they don't know, even in Sudan at that time, who these people are. Then we moved on, we came in here, and we have kids. I didn't tell them who's Bob Marley is. 21 years old, he's a Rasta guy, and he listened to Bob Marley. 15 years old, she listened to Bob Marley, and then there is an 8 years old who listened to Bob Marley. The mom listened to Bob Marley, so all of us we do. There is a reason for that. He's a legend. His wordings, his music, there is a talent. My problem with hip hop is this. When I have the discussion, there is no talent. This is me. I can't get it. Okay? Get me something very interesting. Not wordings. 2 weeks ago I went to Lionel Richie concert. We went nuts, crazy. There is music there. The thing is then, I don't want to get to taste of music. My issue is this, in hip hop there is two hip hops. There is one which is the norm, the street hip hop, and there is the destructive hip hop. The hip hop about, the other dark side of it. My question to you is this as an educational. Where would we get resources trying to highlight, okay, we are dealing with this hip hop thing, but where can I try to split those two? Okay, this is a good side, it's okay, this is culture, this is music, this is about revolution, wherever it is. Not too much about Sudan, let's deal with it here. Or this is bad, this is about the other side, which is, I honestly tell you, I don't want to live it, and I don't want my kids to deal with it like another parent. Thanks so much.
That's a fair statement. As a parent, you have the moral judgment of saying, this is my house, as Eddie Murphy would say, this is my house, and you live in my house. By the way, that was his cousin, his uncle, and his uncle was drunk. So this is my house, and Eddie Murphy was like, no, that's not your house, that's our house. Joking aside, I think you are alluding to a number of things that are really crucial for me. One is you went back to the moral judgment. That is, it's either bad or good. And based on that, you absolutely not only have the right, but you are the parent, You have the moral judgment. You can't say to your kids, yes, in this house, this is the music we're listening to. In this house, this is how we're listening to it. In this house, this is when we're going to listen to it. Absolutely, you can do that. What I'm trying to make us think about is this the right approach? Does it make any sense? In an era where kids are listening to music, whether you want to or not, they are listening to it. So what kind of, for me at least, what kind of music they're listening to, how are they listening to it, and what sense they make out of it. And that would be my not moral judgment, but as an educator, that would be my ethical position. And I do have a full resource. I do have full units that I actually do with my high school students, and we deconstruct the hip hop, and we work through it. We work through it as poetry. We work through it as image. We work through it as an ethical position, as and I call it social memory. Hip hop is a recording of its time. Hip hop is an expression of its time. So there is a lot that we can continue talking about from that perspective. But I hear you. I hear you in terms of, as a parent, this is what I want. This is what I like. This is what I want my kids to do. As an educator, I can't do that. I cannot tell the kids what to listen to or what not to listen to. So my ethical position is, how do I make them conscious of the type of music they're listening to? How do I make them conscious of the image that they are watching? How do I make them conscious of the text? What meanings are they making out of that story? And I think the trap that we are all falling under, and I totally understand it, and I have a full sympathy for it, is that hip-hop is bombarded like there is no tomorrow. It has the worst image, it has the worst expression that people can find in media. Yeah, so we can do that. What I want us as Sudanese-Canadian, especially as people who just arrived in this country, is make us conscious of that. We just be conscious of it. Just be conscious that there's this thing that we call hip hop, and it might have an influence on the kids. So the idea is to just detect what kind of influence it has, and whether you can make sense of it collectively. Lord.
The books you have, are they for sale? Where can we find them?
Yeah, I thought about bringing some here, but I didn't get the publisher to send some. It's both of them are on Amazon.ca and Amazon.com, and yeah, I think I would love to come back and have probably just strict conversation with the parents around that book, and I think it would be interesting to just have a conversation about the book, nothing else, about the book itself, the research that I conducted, and have a proper discussion around it.
Maybe if you can send us an
Absolutely.
email,
Oh.
we'll send information out to everyone.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. I know it's almost 10 o'clock and it got hot already. Some of you are going like, okay, when is he gonna end, right?
Yeah, the end.
The end. Okay, so about 2 years ago, I went to Luwait. And this may come as a surprise even to my wife, that I never read this poem before. not even to her, because I just, it has a little bit of trauma. And let me alert you again, because of the trauma that's in it, that it will be painful for some, especially probably more so to the women in the house. It is about Aisha. عشة مشينا مرة روابة الكلام ده قبل تقريبا 3 سنوات, and I never talked about it because it was a really painful experience. So I was there, and we were invited. I usually go to different universities and I teach. So I was teaching at University of Kordofan, and then we were a group of us. We were maybe about 50 people or so, 70 people. The whole course. It was a workshop in a course format. And so when we were invited in a colleague of ours' house, and right there I met Asha. Asha she was just experienced the most horrible thing that any woman can experience. She experienced something that you will see in the poem. And the poem is called Still. Like the wind, he moves on you. Hour after hour, still. The poem is called Still. Like the force of the wind, whose force you never see, you feel. Still. Shackled around the ankle by fear, you are. Still. Moves still by the way the intimate hate feels, and still hour after the touch you can feel, which leaves you gone with the wind or scars. I bet you feel still. And your feel of emptiness move, dare I say, on you, the way he moved on top of you until you couldn't move anymore. And he was still on top of you, or was it inside you, and he feels like he still is, so all you can do is shake and shake. Because anything is better than this stillness, because being still reminds you of the phase by the fact that those demons still live, so you feel your whole body just to move, but that body, your body, where still lives, so you got to be still. Be beside yourself and embrace, please, the silence, yet you close your broken eyes just to evade the silence. Because any sound is better than your true sound, just to break the silence. So you cry. Hour after hour, you blink. You hold back tears, because minutes, seconds, hours just break back tears, bring back fear of the minute, that second when he felt you first and he loved you second, so he can feel first and you feel second. So here, now, in this hour, minute, second, and all you can do and all you can feel is how minute you felt in that minute, in that second, that he felt you. And now all you can do to pass the time is blink. And every blink would make you wish like time would pass faster, like the dream of that bastard, and the tears would remind you of the dude who laid against the green grass. But the fear in that morning, in your mind, and you pray, you are not pregnant with the seed of that morning. But this morning, you see your stomach growing. Though you feel empty inside, still thinking of the day that baby comes and it bears its father's face, thinking of the moment you wish to hold him as much as you wish you could be held, but the pain of your envy, you have to hold it back now. So you hold him, still it hurts. So you hold the child in silence and still, but at least as the baby sleeps against your still beating heart, you can stop shaking and just be beautiful. As beautiful as you were born, as beautiful as you are still. I actually met Aisha with the baby, and she was only 14 years old. Late 2011, and she came from Darfur. She was actually let out of the house, and she was kicked out of the house by her parents. So, Sarah, shut up.
Use the other one. You can close that one.
I just would like to thank Dr. Awad and Hala for coming all the way from Ottawa. They came here especially just to give you this session, and we thank you. We can't actually thank you enough for your time. We know you're a very busy man. And thanks everybody for coming. This was a really good session, and I hope everybody, I'm sure everybody actually enjoyed it. I did. Yeah. So thank you again, and before we, so thanks for Dr. Awad. And just